Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And just when you thought it was over, just when you thought it was safe to go back into the waters of Eternia, we're going to talk about Kevin Smith's He-Man. Actually, we're going to talk about some comments being made by the guy, I think, who was brought in to quote-unquote course correct the show. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think. Because one thing that Neon and I had talked about was how when it came to the new show, Revolution, it feels very different from Revelation in the fact that it's very focused. It is too much crammed, I think, into 5 episodes. I do agree with that criticism. But it's much more focused than Revelation was. Like, it stays the course of a couple different threads instead of, like, trying to split out into a bunch of different ways. We saw the same thing, I think, with the Princesses of Power, the new She-Ra show. Season 1 was kind of all over the place, and season 2 was much more focused because they brought in Chuck Austin.
Yeah, which he didn't get a lot of credit for that. That
No,
was
because
kind of
he knew
down
his
low.
place. He knew his place as a man.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they never showed the writers' room was all women, so he couldn't take credit. But they brought him in, and it became a lot more focused and polished. Now, I don't know Tim Sheridan. From my understanding, he's behind some of the really questionable choices. You're going to talk about that in a bit on some other things.
Yeah.
But I will say, if he's brought in for that reason, and he is the reason, that his job was accomplished because the Revolution was much more focused. It was more, the characters felt more like themselves, and it just seemed more the He-Man show people wanted with Revelation.
Yeah, that's one thing that even people that, were critical of the first season have been saying that the second batch of episodes are better. Now, I'll be honest, I'm so ass mad about it. I have no intention of watching it. I just don't care. What I care about, though, is fan baiting and fan bashing. And
me too.
Fan blaming. And
oh my God, you should see all the meltdowns about us still. I'm like, what the fuck you got?
Still get so ass
People
mad
are agreeing with them on Revolution being good, right? People are like, yay, I like Revolution. I didn't like Revelation, but yay, Revolution's good. And people are just, instead of being like, yay, let's work together to get more, their takeaway is, you hate Revolution because you're a terrible person. And they still keep bashing them. And they still keep coming after us. You're liars. You're liars. They keep sending people after us.
We didn't lie.
We didn't.
We
but
passed
beyond
on a
that,
rumor.
we're going to talk about that in a minute. But and like you're doing what you say about anti-help. This is anti-help because
yes.
If you want more of the show, and if it was more like Revolution, I'm all for it. If it was more like Revelation, hell no. If you want more of the show, probably when you're getting people to agree with you now and try to help you get more of the show, it's probably not the best time to go out and intentionally try to cause more division and attack people who are actually on your side now. That's the antithesis of what you want to do. But these people are fucking stupid.
Why don't they just stop talking and just put the show out and call it a day? If they just put the show out and not gotten involved in the drama, none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened. So let's talk about this because this is interesting. And I actually did put out there, if anybody, and I'll reiterate, it's on the official Clownfish account. If anybody from the production would like to come on and talk on the D-Res podcast, and we'll have a civil conversation, you will not be on the live stream. You'll not be put in the spot. I have no intention of dogpiling anyone. But if you'd like to come on and have a civil conversation, I am absolutely positively open to it.
Though.
Well, I'm sick of the shit. I'm sick of it.
I know, but you know what's funny to me?
Let's just fucking end it.
Where these people are going are small channels. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we're big. We're not. But I'm just saying, like, this person has 400 subs. And I'm sorry, it's weird. You have 400 subs, and you keep going after us constantly. And then suddenly you're rewarded with, access and all that stuff.
It's a proxy war.
4,000 subs,
stupid.
and then they get an interview. It's like, doesn't make any sense. Basically, if you kiss their ass and they know they have nothing to fear, they'll go. But they're too cowardly to go and talk to people one-on-one when they're afraid there might be pushback for it. And that's the issue.
I will be very professional.
Actually, he will be. I probably won't be on it because I'll kick your ass. But, Neon will be very professional.
If you have listened to other D-Res podcasts, go out and listen to the D-Res podcast. We're going to be bringing that one back along with Pirates and Princesses.
It's probably better that you're there anyway because you actually are like so emotionally removed from it at this point.
Yes.
I'm like still too me.
And I love you for that. I am looking at this, okay, like whatever, regardless of my personal feelings, I don't really give a shit. This is a case study, yet another case study in why you need to not shoot your mouth off, even casually, about the fans. Because trust me, in this age of social media, they know, they notice, they will find stuff, they will dig stuff up.
If you actively hate your fans.
If you actively hate them, it's apparent that you hate them.
Well, no, I'm sorry. The ones who don't like it are the fans in quotes. The real fans are everybody who eats whatever you give them and says it's the best thing ever.
So those
are the real fans.
Let's talk about this because, again, people say things, but I think a lot of times it's like a Freudian slip. We're going to talk about He-Man here again. Before we get into it any further, we're already into it pretty far. But before we get in any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Check it out. We actually have an audio version of Clownfish TV now. Did you know that? There's an audio version of it on Spotify. And we're going to be bringing our podcast back in a big way this year. And again, that offer is open. But let's talk about this article from Fandom Pulse that Tim Sheridan calls. This is their headline, not ours, just so you know.
Doesn't matter. We'll get blamed for it anyway.
Yeah, we'll get blamed for it somehow. Writer Tim Sheridan calls Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe fans who were outraged at the show's feminization trolls who really didn't care.
Well, he actually said people who didn't like the new show or trolls, who really didn't care. That's very unfair because a lot of people have been fans for years. And then the next thing is, if it was just trolls that really didn't care, right? Just looking at the numbers and looking at it objectively, Revelation did not do that well. It turned a lot of people off. A lot of people were officially out at that point. You look at the reaction to Revolution, the trailer, the amount of reviews, that kind of stuff. It is lacking considerably compared to what Revelation started out as. So you have a lot of people who lost interest because of your behavior. That's measurable. And the thing is, you can't just say it's because, these toxic people, there's all haters.
The toy sales. I mean, I know people harp on me. They're like, that doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm like,
it does.
The hell it doesn't. The whole reason Mattel did not one, but 2 Netflix series was to sell toys.
And now with Revolution, people are asking for the toys.
Yes.
So, I mean, you finally got what you wanted. 3rd time's a charm, I guess. You still failed twice prior. But, it's probably not in the best interest if you're winning people back. And I can't tell you how many people are on the boards or different places, or even in the comments down below, are saying, you lost me at Revelation, but you won me back with Revolution. This is what we wanted.
Yes.
Revolution's exactly what we want. I'm okay. I'm down with Revolution. I did not like Revelation. Constantly I'm seeing it. I see a lot of people saying they like Revelation too, which is fine. As I've said many times before, you are allowed to like it. If you don't like it, that's what you're not allowed to do, apparently, because then you're not a real fan. Because you didn't eat every piece of shit they gave you and say thank you.
This happened with Star Trek too.
Star Wars too.
Look at what happened with Star Trek, and then look at how they had to kind of come crawling back with Picard season 3. Like, I didn't even bother watching Picard season 1 and 2. I watched 2 episodes of the first season. I'm like, I know this show is going to make me angry. I'm already mourning the loss of so many other shows. I do not need to get angry about Star Trek 2.
It always reminds me of like music, right? You can like a group or an artist, and you can like them and like a lot of their songs, but you don't have to like every song. And you might like 3 of their records, but hate their 4th one. It doesn't make you less of a fan. It just doesn't mean you like that particular song or record. And that's what we keep seeing. It's like, because we didn't like your hot take, you're not a fan. Bullshit.
So,
don't tell me, a woman, what I can't like, fucking assholes.
Whoa.
Anyway, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being a shield, but then I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
I am getting tired of the drama around this damn dead franchise.
Real quick, these people keep yelling at us about, you're just horrible people. You're just liars. And I saw someone getting mad. They said, just because she had muscles and her haircut, that didn't mean that she was going to like Andra. No, it didn't.
She was coded as lesbian.
Fucking haircut is coded for sure. That is I am a lesbian haircut.
I'm wearing pants. My boobs are strapped down, and I've got muscles and a side shave. That is shorthand in animation current year for I'm totally gay. And
you know what? Even if it wasn't the case, then you are queer baiting, because the people that, the cartoon stands that go out looking for this stuff, they see that and that's their takeaway. Oh, she likes, she's buff. She likes girls. They came in when they're telling you after the fact that it turns out that they undid it, which I'm sorry. I think they undid it. they turn around and say, she was always meant to be with Adam and He-Man. And the thing is, it's like, but then they wouldn't have been people yelling that it was gay, it was queer bait, if that was the case. And then look, this one little salty ass mad bitch pants come into my Twitter feed and was like, you're liars, because the writer said that it was always meant to be that way. I don't buy it.
No.
Neon saw the scripts.
No.
Saw the scripts.
Yeah.
Do not buy it. Did you see the scripts? No. And here's the thing. Are the writers going to admit when everybody was mad and it went exactly the way we said it would go? I mean, as far as the fact that if this is true, people are going to hate it. If it had gone the way that the rumor was, and again, it was rumor. It was what we had seen in the thing. Kevin Smith runs with shit all the time and is wrong, and everybody is still like, he's okay. It's okay if he does it.
He's an approved Hollywood nerd.
He's allowed to lie,
He's
apparently.
an approved Hollywood nerd. That's
But we still stand by that He-Man was going to be sidelined. It was going to be the Tila show, which was nothing that wasn't already announced. But they didn't make it very clear to the general public.
Yeah.
But he's saying that didn't happen because the writer said. The writers aren't going to admit to it if they didn't change it. If it was changed significantly.
Oh, absolutely not. I meant to do that.
They're not going to say, yeah, we changed it because Clownfish was right. They're not going to say that.
No,
they're not. Oh, no, it was never like that.
Nope.
I'm honest. Wink, wink. It was been this way the whole time. They're not going to admit to it. Of course they're not going to fucking admit to it.
Of course not. Who? Yeah, right? Who would? Yeah. So... Let's talk about this. So this writer, Tim Sheridan, now I guess did he write the tie-in comic? Was that? Did you
I don't know. Someone said that. I don't know.
He wrote the Green Lantern comic that whacked the Beehive that didn't sell very many copies. And look, I don't give it. I'm not a huge Green Lantern fan, so I don't really give a shit what happens.
But it's one of those typical. Oh, look,
we decided we were going to. Yeah, we're gonna lean into current year, identity politics. What I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit that Green Lantern's gay. This particular Green Lantern's gay. I don't care.
Why is the guy who writes it gay? Are you serious?
Well, what? But of course. I mean, I'm sorry that you can't write about anything like that current year unless you actually are identifying that way. You're not allowed to write black characters if you're not black. But then
why is he working on the He-Man show then? If you only can write what you identify as.
Well, because Adam's coded gay, okay? No, I don't know.
And Tila's straight, and they meant to be straight the whole time.
They were not meant to be straight the whole time.
But I mean, whether or not he wrote other things, if he was brought in and his job was to focus the show, and that's why it's more focused for Revolution, then he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, and I'll give him that. And here's the thing, like everybody's like, well, you're just angry because the gay people touched the He-Man. I'm like, do you realize Filmation was like,
everybody thought He-Man
gay
was gay for
fuck.
years.
I mean, yeah, it was.
Filmation itself was like,
so many gay people working at Filmation.
Nobody cared.
Right? I mean, nobody cared. So nobody cares. So that's just not even. Let's not even go there. So I don't really give a shit. And they spend a lot of time talking about the Green Lantern drama. I do know that he was telling people to go buy the comic, I think. And we didn't cover this. I didn't think it was worth covering. But he was telling people to basically go buy the comic to own the bigots or something, and nobody bought the comic.
But all that's not the point. Let's get to the actual point.
The actual point.
So he did an interview on this channel.
We're a balloon channel, yeah. So, I don't know. And again, I think it's a Freudian slip. I think Mr. Sheridan just does not like comic book fans, cartoon fans. But here's the thing, though. It's
like, these generalizations are getting old. Like, you're not a fan if you didn't like it. And here talking about, I guess, in the thing, he's okay. So he was literally one of the co-writers, part of the show, but now he's being a producer for the second season.
Yes.
After the first season failed. So basically, he
got promoted. Job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Kevin. It's his job to rein Kevin in.
If he's why Revolution is better, then that's not a bad thing. Just because he don't like Green Lantern, he might have fixed this one.
Right. And that's Green Lantern, and this is He-Man. Now it's interesting though, he says I'm one of those kids who's terrified to say one of the figures of She-Ra when I was a kid, and he didn't know he was gay at that point. I had a She-Ra. I had a She-Ra and a bow.
A lot of people did.
But I did have a She-Ra and a bow, and I remember there being and I'm not gay, by the way. Am I gay? I don't think I'm gay. I'm not gay. So, but I do remember, and I was like 8, maybe, I think, but I want She-Ra because she was in the movie, right?
Most kids, when they're like kids,
I didn't even think about like that's a girl toy. You're not allowed to have that. I'm like, no, I want She-Ra. But then to balance it out, I got She-Ra and Bo. Like, okay, well, we'll get you this one chick doll. But you got to have the boy too.
You have to understand the time period too. If you put the period in context, because it's like, yeah, I can see being a little weird, but a lot of guys had the toys too. Because I've seen a lot of people that collect have said that they bought the She-Ra stuff also. But back then, like Everybody had a Care Bear, boy or girl. Everybody was buying Cabbage Patch Kids, boy or girl.
We've talked about
everybody
this before.
watched the same shows, boy or girl. Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's like it was different than like I guess you could get picked on. Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't like I wanted to broadcast to my friends that I had a She-Ra. Because, to me, it was just an action figure, but everybody else was like, oh, look, it's a little Barbie doll with a sword.
Well, the ones who made out the most were the ones that were brother and sister, and they got he got the He-Man, she got the She-Ra, and they could play together, and you could play with all the toys. If you were in that situation, that was a win.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. What wasn't fair? What wasn't fair is that girls could play with the boys' toys, and that was totally cool.
That's true.
You can get the blowback. Well, we had so the neighbor kid I used to play Star Wars and G.I. Joe with and all stuff, his sister would play with us and we were always playing Star Wars and G.I. Joe and nobody thought, well, she might be gay.
That's actually true. I mean, I used to play with my brother all the time. We played with Mask or Transformers or just Hot Wheels or whatever, and it was fine. And then I'd go play dolls with my sister and no one thought anything of it. But yeah, that's not an unfair.
Yeah. So anyway, but getting to the point of what because apparently there's a whole big conversation, but this is what kind of
late. We haven't got to the point.
We never get to the point. We do these, and we just kind of
people get mad in the comments. I'm just this is what we do.
But anyway, the point being, he said this, and I wouldn't have said this. He said that he defended Masters of the Universe Revelation because he worked on that too. Kevin's original title for the show was Masters of the Universe, End of the Universe.
Right. I do know that he had said that before. Yes.
And I think that would have set expectations better. But
I think if they had set expectations, they would have seen a completely different outcome.
I mean,
but then that would have proved us right, and that would have been a problem.
Masters of the Universe, He-Man fucking dies. For the reason, it was because he felt. And I think he was right. Unfortunately, we had to go through with Revelation to get to Revolution, but it was about deconstructing the whole thing. Okay, so this is your first problem. Okay, when you bring a beloved franchise back, people do not want to see you bring the beloved franchise back to deconstruct it. We have seen it time and time and time again, and it never, ever, ever ends well for the rights holder. Star Trek, Doctor Who, and especially Star Wars.
Well, I'm confused. If it was a sequel and Kevin Smith said, oh, it's going to be a sequel and it's going to be really rock and roll and all that, but it's a sequel to the original show, you don't have to deconstruct it then because you already have an expectation that it's going to be a sequel to what we already know. There's no need to deconstruct that. I mean, I guess in the fact that he wanted something to happen there to lead to Revolution, I get that. The whole show was basically one giant revolution, but
it feels like they just tried to wrap it up. Maybe they had this longer arc planned and they spent way too much time in the beginning just kind of meandering, and then they're like, oh shit.
Well, I think it's a matter of what didn't do well, so you're limited. This is what's been greenlit.
Yeah.
And if you get more, it's going to depend on how this does.
So we need to go through the deconstruction. No, you didn't. And rebuilding of that in order to have a revolution. I think the best way. Again, I'm not the showrunner, I'm not the producer, but if it were me and I were going to bring He-Man back, I would honestly give people proper He-Man for at least a season to reintroduce and reestablish these characters before killing him off.
But there's no reason for evolution, though. There isn't, because the only reason for revolution is at the end so they can make it a democracy and make change. What other reason would there be? Yeah. You could have brought the mech stuff in. You could have brought the story with his dad dying and then Adam has to take over, and somehow they all found out about it ahead of time. You could have done some of those elements and still have got to that point you wanted to get without a lot of the stuff you shoehorned in that you didn't need.
I would have flip-flopped it and had the revolution parts maybe take place in the beginning, and then at the end, what happens if He-Man gets sidelined or something, then bring him back at the end. That's how I would have done it. But
I think if they had just been clear with people from the beginning.
Yeah, again, so here's the thing. It's about setting expectations. I've said this many, many times before. The CGI He-Man show, I expected to hate it based on the art style. I'm like, this looks really childish, and I'm not sure this is going to work for He-Man, and why is he wearing pants? And it's just kind of weird. But I loved it because I knew what to expect. It was going to be very different, and I gave it I went in expecting to hate it, and I freaking loved it because it was done so well.
Well, we're going to talk about what he said. Now, this is what set Neon off the beginning, because we weren't going to do any more. He's the one who wanted to do this one. He said in this interview that the majority of critical responses to the revelation were trolls who really didn't care about it and wanted to make noise about it. Except, fuck you, Tim. Fuck you with something sharp and vinegar.
Well, he's not going to come on the show now.
I don't care. You come on. You can explain why you said this, because this is the same deflective shit. We had the show. No one really watched it. People had complaints. People didn't like it. It's not because I fucked up. It's because you all are trolls who didn't care about it in the first place. Bitch, I grew up with She-Ra. I grew up with He-Man.
Yeah.
I grew up with all this stuff. Loved it for years. Have had the DVDs for years. Our kids watched it when they were little. They were constantly watching this shit when they were little. They grew up on it too. Every toy line that came out, we had toys from it. It still has ones from the 2002 and all that stuff. I buy She-Ra all the time. Big fans of the franchise and Masters Universe franchise in general, on both She-Ra and the He-Man side. Have been for years, which is why when we saw the script, well, I'll say I didn't see it. When we saw what was going on, Neon put just a tweet out saying, because when they announced it, even with the Teela part, which we read that part in the announcement, we were like, this is going to be great. Yay, more He-Man.
Yeah, because I like Powerhouse animation, and I liked all the first couple seasons of Castlevania, and I was
really excited about it. You can go find that video if you don't believe us. We're a little concerned about the Teela thing, but we're really excited about it because we're fans of the show. Neon puts out a small tweet saying, I'm hearing this, and it's concerning because if it's true, I don't think it's going to play well with fans. I think it's going to bite them in the butt. I
was trying to warn you. Yes. I was trying to warn you without making a big deal out of it, and you made it a big deal.
Yeah, Kevin Smith for all you're just getting attention off it. We weren't even, if we wanted attention off it, bitches, we would have done a video to begin with. Yeah. They just did it in passing as a tweet. We weren't even going to say anything. I didn't even tweet at
him. I'm just like, God, I hope this is not true.
That's all he said. And then Kevin Smith doth protested too much.
Yep.
But this is, and then you're telling all these people that are on the He-Man boards that are huge, massive He-Man fans, collectors, all these people. You're telling them all they are just trolls who didn't care about the show and make noise about it because they didn't like the first version of the show. That's what you're saying. If you liked it, you're a real fan. If you didn't like it, you're just trolls who didn't care and just made a big deal about it. And look, no one was going to say anything about it until Smith made it a fucking big deal. We weren't even going to we were going to do a video on it because we're like, it's not worth it. We'll wait and see. And even after he came down and said that, we're like, okay, we'll take you at your word because you're going to look like a fucking idiot if it's not true.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, we'll find out. Because I'm like, I will recant.
And
because
bullshit that Teela wasn't being made into a couple of Andre. It was very clear. Grace Randolph said it. Other people were saying it. They gave her even the stereotypical, here I am, I'm a lesbian haircut.
Yep.
Everything they could do to code her as lesbian.
Yes.
And you guys, coding is a term I'm taking from Hollywood. You coded the character. You coded her as a lesbian.
And they still have Andra as man at arms. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And then she has the half shade her hair.
Yes.
They coded them as a couple. They at least coded Teela as that.
Well, she experimented with Andra, and then she went back to Adam.
Revolution, her hair is long again, and she's back to looking like Teela always looked.
Yeah,
even though I hate to tell you, you can be a lesbian with long hair too. Just letting y'all know that in Hollywood because apparently you don't seem to understand that. You coded her deliberately.
Yeah,
you could have kept her hair long, put it in a ponytail. You coded her deliberately. You might have changed it after the backlash, but you were definitely going down that path. And He-Man was definitely taken out and sidelined in most of the show.
Yes.
At least the first half, which is the only thing we saw the stuff for. So we didn't lie, stick it up your ass. I don't care what writers are saying now. They're not going to come out and admit it. They're not going to admit they fucked up.
No, of course not. Because it's like,
it's because the trolls.
It's all the troll. Like
it's all our fault. The vocal minority's fault. No one watched your damn show.
This is like 2017 never ended. You cannot do this anymore. People see through the bullshit. I mean, Phantom Pulse brings up the South Park episode with, put a chick in it, make it lame, make it gay. It's become such a freaking joke at this point that South Park is making fun of it. It's so predictable. You take an existing franchise and,
The thing is about Teela, though, it's not really the same thing because Teela was always, that's something else. Like, well, if you were a fan, you'd know Teela was always important. Fuck you. I've said since the beginning and said in multiple videos. One, that Teela was the center. It said in the PowerCon announcement. Two, Teela was always a very important character in the show. She was pretty much in every episode. She was always extremely important in the show. No one saying that she was never important in the show. The only one saying that are people like trying to put words in people's mouths. But he goes on. He made it clear he wasn't listening to those responses from the trolls. It got conflated with the legitimate criticism of real fans. Well, what's a legitimate criticism then? And because I'd love to know, because the criticisms I have heard, apparently you guys don't like, and it's because they're just trolls. What are the legitimate criticisms?
Well, that's what I want to know, because I think it's basically kiss their ass, and you're like, oh, everything about this show is great, except for just a few teensy
I just want to know what the legitimate criticisms are. Tila's voice acting was dog crap.
Which they replaced her, by the way. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much better in this one, but it's better than Sarah Michelle Gellar. I mean, I like her in other things, but she was not right for this role.
All I could hear was Buffy. I mean,
pretty much.
I'm not, that's not me attacking Sarah Michelle. It's just
none of the characters acted like themselves.
No, that was my biggest complaint.
Had to power down Skeletor's battle boner to steal his power.
That was fucking stupid. Super buff Evil Lynn was fucking stupid. I mean, there's just some really dumb shit.
There was a lot of things in this, and they're like, so
killing off Clamp Champ and Fisto.
What criticisms were valid and what criticisms were not valid? That's what I like to know, because the ones that are real fans had valid criticisms. So basically, anything that wasn't a dig at the direction, but anybody who had criticism, and they keep deflecting with, because Tila was always important. We all know that. No one's saying she wasn't. You guys keep saying that's what we're saying, but that's not what we said.
No.
So what is the real criticisms that determine whether I'm an actual fan or I'm not a fan? Because and I hate women because this guy says so.
Yeah. So this is just like, I mean, this is not a good way to. And I do look.
You're like shooting yourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
I do believe, on some level, when there's backlash toward franchises like this, I do believe that you get a lot of people that are looky-loos, that are not actual fans of the franchise, that glom onto it, the talking heads or whatever on the hey there, fellow kids news channels or whatever. They're like, oh, we're going to glom onto this because, it's trendy. And they clearly don't understand the franchise or where it's been or whatever. I get that. That was not the majority of people that were angry about the changes to this show. Most of the people were fans.
Though, if it was just that vocal minority of people, then there would be no reason to make changes. There'd be no reason to streamline it. There'd be no reason to put this person in a producer position. There'd be no reason to do damage control, because there'd be no reason to change anything because it's already going in a direction that's doing really, really well. But it wasn't.
If the toys are selling really well and the watch time is through the roof and the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe,
you won't change it.
Yeah, the Masters of the Universe brand is doing fan-fucking-tastic, and everybody's happy with it. Mattel's happy with it, and Netflix is happy with it. There's no reason to change anything, right?
But they never changed anything. It was all planned the whole time. Bullshit.
Just like
the numbers are everything about it's pointing to the opposite direction.
Same with the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. If everything is so fan-fucking-tastic, then why did they try to backpedal everything in the Rise of Skywalker?
It was all planned.
It was all planned.
Bullshit.
This is all part of the plan.
And the thing is, and if you backpedal, and if it's worked, okay, and people are starting to come back, and they're celebrating this one, you got 1 right out of 3, and they're celebrating this one. Then you take, okay, this is what people want. This is a direction we need to keep going in. If we're going to do more, we need to keep going in this direction. And we're finally, everybody's in agreement. This is working pretty good, or the majority's in agreement and everything else. Let's move forward. Let's go on. No, they're too busy. Instead of saying, hey, this is what we need to do, going back and trying to cause more division, and then basically telling people, if you didn't like the first one, it doesn't matter if you like this one, you're still an asshole. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to keep watching your show?
You're
not a real fan, because if you're a real fan, you would have liked Revelation too, but you like Revolution, so you're just clearly not a real fan. What do you think is going to happen? You need to shut up. Stay down.
Yes.
Stop talking.
Just admit that you fucked up. I mean, that's
you don't even do that. Just stay down. Stop talking. But you aren't.
I mean, that's one thing I will give. The Picard crew. It was Terry Matalas, I think, was the director and producer of the last season. They actually admitted that things weren't going in the direction that fans expected, and they knew they could do better. And I know Patrick Stewart, part of it was Patrick Stewart did not want a rehash of Star Trek.
Yeah, that was part of it.
That was part of it.
And I'm going to be honest, and people keep saying, well, I don't think it was all Kevin Smith. We have said repeatedly, we don't think it was all his fault either. Do we think there was mandates? Think Netflix had some things they wanted?
Mattel,
Mattel, yeah. We've said at the beginning, we don't think it's all his fault. His behavior and his response and the way he behaved was all his fault.
How you handle a situation like this, and you can be pissed all you want, but the thing is, you got to remember, I mean, this is what
you're going to say petty, because he was that too.
Kevin Smith built his career off of bitching about Star Wars and bitching about Batman.
Doing exactly what we did that he's mad about.
Literally charging people admission to listen to him bitch about Batman and bitch about Star Wars for years.
But you know what, though? Oh, my God, guys. That means he clearly was never a real fan of Batman and Star Wars.
Clearly
if he was,
yeah.
he would have loved everything. Like,
right?
you know, he would have loved it all, but he clearly was never a real fan, because real fans just love everything that you put out ever. Because otherwise they're just trolls, and he's just trying to cash in on the people not liking it. Bullshit. He goes on all the time and talks about rumors publicly that turn out to be not true.
Yeah,
and it's okay when he does it. No one's calling him a liar, but people like him are going after us and calling us liars.
It's because he is a vetted Hollywood professional.
Shill. I'd say shill. A vetted Hollywood suck ass.
Well,
shill.
You know, we've done that too with Disney stuff. So, you know, it is what it is.
No, we didn't,
the
because the difference is we were honest, that got us kicked off.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, he doesn't want to be kicked off. He doesn't want to be kicked out of
difference.
Hollywood. He doesn't want to be. Now, the thing is that Smith actually, if he returned to his roots and he basically said, look, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and that's it. I think there would be a lot of people that would be supportive of him if he wanted to, you know, do independent projects again or whatever. But, you know, the cost of living in LA is pretty high. So he's got bills to pay.
At Tila. Yes, nothing about that.
Nothing says gay.
Nothing coded gay. Nothing about that at all says coded
Praise
gay.
Randolph, who's like, hey, not that there's anything wrong with that, but she's like, it's very, very obvious they were setting them up as a couple.
But here's the thing. We didn't even see the images. It was just the script. And from the script, it was obvious that's what they're going. Then they see the image and it just confirmed it. You're liars. No, we aren't.
Nope.
Somebody's lying, but it wasn't us.
Nope.
So anyway, can we wrap this up? Because we have lots of videos to do.
I am more than willing to wrap it up. Again, they're
not going to come on. They're too cowardly.
But you know, that might surprise you.
You're not going to be talking to me. You'll be talking to just Neon, because, you know, I won't be able to control myself. But he can. So, because if I was here, there'd be comments flying right and left. But he can control himself. So you're more than welcome to talk to him.
I will be honest. Just
can't handle a woman.
I can handle you.
Oh, I didn't say you.
Okay. Just to be clear, the only reason I would want to have a conversation is to just end this bullshit. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of every fucking video we put up getting comments, one side and the other, whatever. I'm sure you are too.
We were honestly the entire time has just been like, don't do this. It's not going to work.
I was trying to warn you.
We were trying to help you.
Kevin Smith knows better. He used to do this shit all the time.
We were trying to help
Star
you.
Wars. He knows better. He knows how it was going to go.
Stop talking and stay down. Is us trying to help you, because you're getting people back, and while you're doing that, you're out there literally with these fans, these people that sucko fans, and the people that you're rewarding with access, and the people that you like, you know, this author, writer, or whatever, are going out there. And they're literally chipping away at whatever you're building. They're eroding it as quickly as you're building it. And it's like, it's really not smart. If the goal is to get people back, it's probably not a good idea to like turn around and start shooting at them. And they're like, yeah, we're going to follow you now. And then you start shooting them.
Now,
not smart.
I'm going to tell you, I think the goal for Kevin Smith is to survive this and ride out the NDA. And then we'll probably get another inside baseball story from him as to what actually happened. Because I think there's a big ass story here.
Oh, but it'll be from his point of view.
It'll be from his point of view. Of
which
course.
Kevin Smith is it?
Of course.
Anyway, are we going to wrap this up, please?
Let's please wrap this up.
It went really long.
Yes, it did. So let's wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.